Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first interview in our new Introducing the Wolves series. My name is Ben Royle, and today I'm joined by club captain Mick Donoghue. Mick, how are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
All right, yeah, just cracking on. Stuck in a routine. Well, stuck in not much of a routine.
Yeah, I'm more middle aged now, so gardening and golf, mate. So
that's not too bad. So to start off with, pretty simple. How did you initially get involved with the Wolves?
Sorry. Well, I guess going back a little bit further, really, it probably is the starting point. I started playing hockey back when I was about sort of 14, 15. Basically, lots of Panthers fans were playing around that sort of time, and we had a league called the Portland League. Used to play in the Meadows. And there was about 10 teams in that, I believe. And from there, I joined. Well, within that, I joined a team called Carlton Scorpions, and played with those guys. And those guys are all still mates now. And but at that sort of time, during the league, I knew Rob. I also happened to work in the same building as Rob, as well. Back in that sort of time when I first started work, so we sort of knew each other through that. And then when I moved away down south, stopped playing for a number of years, and then Rob was getting an invitational tournament set up, and I think one of the teams in that was the players from that old Portland League.
Oh yeah.
So we played in that, and I loved it. Came down. I never thought I was going to play again, and we had a really good day. I think Rob's team robbed us on the final goal difference. It was dodgy, I seem to remember, but my competitive and hockey spirit was back in pretty much straight away. And then I remember on that day, the guys talking about GB and the team and stuff. So kind of fueled the fire again. And I just asked Rob then if I could start coming back training. And that was it. And never looked back, really. So, some years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Good
experience. So sort of prior to that, what was your previous sporting experience? And how do you think this influenced like your time playing hockey?
I mean, I guess I've been really lucky. Like my old man played every sport. My dad was a good cricketer, a good footballer, but pretty much he introduced me to anything we had a chance to play, and we played. Yeah. So I played a lot of cricket, played rugby at school, played football, but things like tennis and snooker and table tennis, anything really. And I wouldn't say I was great at any of them, but it means I can go and play anything really. I suppose I'm very lucky. If somebody says, "Well, do you want to go with tennis?" or I'll just go and play it. Like, and now obviously with my golf and stuff, I love playing everything really. So I guess my main sport was football. So played Saturday afternoon league football and Sunday morning football. So played that all the way through until I sort of finished when I was. I guess early mid-30s, but still playing football now. Once, twice a week. So, and I think that's probably the sport that most influenced hockey. I think for me, I think certainly when I started, football, five-a-side football, was the nearest thing to hockey rather than ice hockey. The way it was played. So, and the big thing for me within football was always about how do you make space. How do you get to the right places at the right time? About how you mark players and the running off the ball as well. I think that's vitally important in hockey as it is in football. And I think it really influenced the way that I tried to play hockey anyway. So.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Do you think that there are any moments or goals or games or goals that stick out to you from your time at the Wolves?
I mean, mate, there's been a lot of games that I look back on that stand out. Not so many goals, I have to say, but favourite games have always been those that where the teams had really gone on and achieved something, or it's been important for the club, and there was a few of them. And I think games wise, the national championship wins were massive for me. Getting your hands on the biggest trophy was fantastic. I think the game. I think one of the early games that stood out for me was where we beat London at Harvey Adden as well. We beat them 1-0, and I think that was a stepping stone for the club. There's points along the journey, if you like, where you go.
Yeah.
That was a point where we started to believe that we could beat them, or compete with them.
Yeah.
So I think that was a biggie. I think as well, you look back at even this year, and I think the team you were involved in, Fantastic Fours this year.
Yeah.
I love that this year. That was, from my perspective, there was lots of games along the journey in that tournament in itself. Where you think where we started from, it was a really young side, a new side. I thought the players with a bit more experience stood up. I thought you guys, the younger team, really put everything on the line for it. It was really hard fought, and we really battled for each other. So, you look back at those, it's those types of games to me that really make the difference. I think, on a personal level, the GB opportunities, playing in 2 World Championships was amazing, and getting to captain GB, was incredible for me. That was an amazing moment, and actually, obviously, going to GB the first time, you don't realise you only sing the national anthem when you win.
Yeah.
So that first time you get to sing the national anthem was special as well. And I think the couple of games with GB, I think the Cayman Islands game when in my first World Championship, where again I think we really bought into the system that we were trying to put out that day, and we chased everything down. And we beat them 3-2, and that put us into the semis effectively. I think that was a massive game, and I really, from a team perspective, again beating Hong Kong, the second tournament, where we won 5-2. I think it's probably the best performance I've been involved in. So I think that was, they were good. I think goals, as I say, I think I don't score that many memorable ones, mate. I score. I like to score the garbage goals. I take the mickey that I think I've scored hat-tricks that are no further out than 7 inches when you add them all together. So, but they all count as one, as far as I'm concerned. So,
and the assists when you're still on the bench.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I don't claim as many of them these days, mate. It's only to keep up with Reece, that is. So, look, there's been a few nice ones. I remember at Ealing, Fantastic Fours, that was a nice one. And I think, there was in the playoffs when Ben Hitchin had joined us, and I played online with Ben. We played Sheffield in the semi-final there, and we scored some very nice goals that day. And then, as I say, I think I did particularly enjoy. We played up at Sheffield, where effectively we only had 4 out players. I scored a hat-trick that day, and they were all nice goals, and that was a nice feeling. But again, I think for me, goals in the national championship, goals that have meant something to the team success, really have been the biggies, and they can be anything really. I don't mind what the bounce off, as long as they go in.
No, definitely. So on the other side of that, if you could change the outcome of one game, do you think there's one that you would pick? It sort of stands out as a bit of a sore note.
Yeah, one game's a bit tough as well. I think. I think again, there's a few along the way. I mean, again, Fantastic Four finals. I'm either a jinx or something, because I think, and Rob might correct me, I think I've lost 6 finals of that. It's either 5 or I think 6, but. That those hurt, because that's such a good weekend and a bonding experience. I think to win one of those would have been great, and I think over the years we've deserved at least one of those. But I think that the biggest for me are the last 2 years, the national championships. I think like I alluded to a little bit with the London game, when we finally sort of got over that hump of beating them the first time. I think with the national championships, I think for a long time, with the likes of London, the Crusaders, Maidenhead, those really strong sides, we definitely started getting closer and closer and being more and more competitive, and we were winning our fair share of games against them. But in the final hurdle, if you like, or we beat one of them on a nationals day, but not another one, or something like that. We were just short. And don't get me wrong, look, they are great sides, and they've had game-changing players on those teams over the years. But I've always felt that that we were getting closer and closer. And then in the last couple of years, I felt like we should be, right up there with them. I think, if not better. And certainly when we play, 3-line hockey, and on the bigger rinks, I think we've got the players. I think, we've got our own game-changing players now. I think, you look at the lads, like Bobby, etc., that have come through the ranks and are now in the prime of their career. Certainly, the guys in that team, Bobby, Reese, Matt, Cookie, those guys, and H, those guys that have gone through the GB setup, the quality that they bring. I think we've brought people in like Zach and Padge, and then with likes of yourself who are now in that younger age range that are bringing something to the team. We've added a bit of strength, in there, and a bit more muscle as well. So it's felt like we've had a very rounded team in there in the last couple of years. And I honestly thought we were going to win it in one of those. Well, actually, I thought we were going to win it both. And that really hurts. And I think on a personal level, obviously, I haven't got that many, if any, left in the team. So the last two have been killers for me personally, because I thought we were good enough to win it, and should have won it actually. Because I think, as I say, it took a while to get to that point, but I feel that we are at that point where we should be right there every year to win it, and be the best team there.
Yeah, I think that's a massive downside of everything being postponed this year, because we were probably coming into a point where everyone had a pretty good season, been playing quite a lot, and it just sort of, I guess it's just one of those things that comes along with the virus. Well, hopefully there'll be the opportunity to try and keep a similar team. Yeah,
and look, on for the club, it may not with me, but that time is going to come for the club, because nobody's developing at the speed that we are, and you're seeing it within the academy ranks, and how well that's going. And I think, I think there's more belief in that, the other generation that I talked about. I think the guys who've gone now to GB and played well at GB level and achieved good things with GB, realise that they're going and know they can go and win now. And I think we always, I don't know whether that's right. I might be wrong, but I think sometimes we thought, well, can we beat all three of the good sides in one day? And I think we do believe that now, and I think we've proven it. And I think, again, you look at the result we had at Fantastic Fours against London with a very different but young side, and look how we competed there that day and how strong we were against them. And I think that's a bit of a blueprint for how we've got to play against them as well. So
I think especially when you've got people like, obviously me and Finn in terms of the nationals team, like we're the youngest, but then you've got Aidan and Haddon like right behind us, and Tom Webb and Ben Clayton as well, who like eventually will be able to play at that level.
Yeah, that absolutely. And you guys are all moving at pace into that level. And again, I think the great thing for me was you all fought for each other on that day, and then you add, what is the core of the first team, into that squad with the leadership of Luke and Reese. And I think I have no doubt it's around the corner. It just it's frustrating it's not been the last 2 years. So
it will happen. I think Reese always loves the statement that there's always next year.
Well, but, it's a frustrating.
You've got to be somewhat optimistic.
But it is. I think we just got to keep the focus of the club on those tournaments. Really, I think that's the key.
Yeah, definitely. So you were named club captain in 2011. What does the role entail, and how do you go about carrying out these tasks?
I'm glad you remembered it's 2011. I would never have remembered that.
Rob clarified that to me actually. That was just before my day.
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of bits really. Look, on game days and match days, I don't try and overcomplicate that if I can help it. Try and lead by example, or albeit the example I can lead by. Try and work hard. Try and put everything in for the team. I think the thing for me is keeping it relatively simple. I try and get the guys to only think about 2 or 3 things at most. I don't try and over. I'm not an out and out. I'm not a coach. So I think what the guys who have played ice you know, again, I know what Reece is doing with the academy and with the help of the other guys. I think we'll be able to do more with systems in the future. Systems have never been my big thing. Again, I think, as I said, you know, my influence has been football, so you know, I can probably relate more to it in how we press and where we press and things like that. But yeah, I think really it's been more about just 2 or 3 things that I want the guys to think about, because I don't want to overcomplicate, because we've got really talented players as well. So you want them to express themselves anyway when they're on there. And then occasionally it's been a word in, you know, I try, and if I see something that I think an individual or somebody can do slightly differently, I'll go and have a quiet word. I don't try and publicise that in front of the team if I can help it. Their little chats. And generally that's been the focus. And again, look, I think for me, and I think with Rob as well, you know, I think we could have gone very deep into trying to be a complex systems and training based club a long time ago. But I think the key is to still enjoy the game. You know, you know, whilst we want to win things and we want to progress as a club, I think it's getting the right balance between that and everybody enjoying the game, because you know, we want people to enjoy it, because we want people to come more often and play regularly and get more and a more, you know, diversified crowd into the game. And you know, if you look at the size of the club and the teams we've got, I think we've managed to do that. So it is about enjoying. But you know, I you know, my big thing is I'm ultra competitive in terms of wanting to win. So you know, I think there's just a bit about focus for me, I think, on game day. I think that's sometimes, you know, we've been a young team for a long time, you know, present company accepted. But I think it is very much about focus. I mean, you probably heard one of probably only a few rants I've ever had as a captain on Fantastic Four's second day this year. But you know, as a team, we just weren't ready in that second morning. You know, everybody was floating around, nobody was organised, and I think it's just about getting people thinking about the game properly. I think the only other side really on the captain front, for really, I've just worked with Rob and now Pat on team selection and player selection, primarily when we were starting out in the league, in the leagues, and trying to get those teams right. And which players were on which teams. And I think, you know, we've always tried to use that as a way to develop players. And I think, you know, putting certain players on certain teams where we identified, you know, areas that we thought players needed to work on. So it might be we put a player in a certain team because we needed him to carry the ball more, or we needed him to get his head up and you pass, you know, being on a more passing team because we thought, you know, defensively, for example, he might have been solid, but we needed to develop his playing skills, you know, in terms of his passing ability, or you know, we put players on teams to because we think they're potential leaders and we wanted to see their leadership come out and things like that. So we've there's been you know, perhaps some people might not have seen it or agree with it, but we have deliberately put people in teams to try and hone their skills, I guess, in certain ways. And so we've done that, and then obviously there's been challenges in terms of picking probably primarily the tier 1 and tier 2 teams, and you know, I'd be a liar if I said every conversation's been easy around that. But again, you know, the key for me is that what's best for the club and how do we win things. So
so what strikes you as the biggest change in ball hockey since you started playing for the Wolves, and then going back to before you played for the Wolves?
Blimey, before might be I think certainly with the Wolves and what I've seen in the last, I would say 3 or 4 years, I think at the very top level, the organisation, I think it is changed significantly. I think, you know, I think the appointment of Rob at Ball Hockey UK president, I think, has made a huge difference. You know, I think his passion for the sport and what he does for the sport, you know, I've not seen, you know, when you've got a job and a family and all that to cope with as well, I don't quite know where he gets the energy from, honestly. But you know, I think having that sort of dedication to the sport was vital, actually, to move it forward. And I think, you know, I believe it is, and I think he's got good people around him as well, in that are supporting him. All of that sort of what I would class as the top team now around Ball Hockey UK. I think really care about the sport and are really dedicated to taking it forward. And I think that's in itself is a significant shift. But I think what they're putting out there is huge for where the sport might be able to go. I think certainly we're reaping the rewards at a GB level. I think having if you'd have asked me when I first came back, so just before 2011, I guess a couple of years before that, I think if you'd have said to me that you would have GB teams, male and female, all age groups, all the way through, senior team succeeding, being successful and competing, properly competing, potential vets team next year, I just couldn't see that happening, because at that stage it looked like a handful of teams being run by one or two people who were really keen to keep the sport going. So to where it is now, I think it's huge. I think on a Wolves level, I think what the guys are doing, and now Pat obviously helping run the club, and Steve doing a lot of work to support and with the academy. I think that's that stands us in very good stead. And I think if I was to say, well, where does the sport go? I think it needs a few more people like that in different clubs as well. I think we do see changes in management and who's running certain clubs, but I think the great news is if obviously Finn, who's sort of really come on, I think this year for us, has managed to keep playing down in Wales in the Welsh League. The London League, the Southern League's working well. North East, there's obviously some good clubs up there, and they just need a period of stability, I think, up there. Scotland working, and I think there's lots of different pockets of clubs now, and I think how we consolidate and build on that and bring those groups together, I think is really key to how we go forward. And I think that's a challenge, obviously, for Ball Hockey UK, but I think that's a big change, and it feels like a strong change to me. And I think that's the biggest things. I think on a playing level, look, the pace of the game has changed completely from when I started. You used to have a few players who could make a big difference when I first started. You also had a few booming shots that people were scoring from all over the place, and they were firing it in from anywhere. And the quality of the play, because of the quality of the players and the speed of the play, has changed significantly. I remember that first World Championship. I don't know who I was talking to about it, but there seemed to be, I said I've related it to football, but there seemed to be a different style of running in ball hockey than I'd seen in football. It was certainly in those top teams, when you watch Slovakia and teams like that. And I think that's changing now in our sport. You see it, there's definitely a lot of players who have got that quick injection of pace. Bobby's a massive example, but you've got it in, I think Bobby's in our team, certainly the one who's really got it. I think it's running quick and fast, but really hard. So you're getting there at that maximum power. And guys were doing that on a massive rink. And I think the first time we went to the GB thing, I remember looking at the size of the rink, and I was thinking, "Blimey, I'm not running." I've got to make it to both ends, which in a shift. Never mind if we then break again, and you've got. I was thinking, and that was a real eye opener. And again, and I for the vets team next year, we've talked about it. Those guys, when they get out there, it's going to blow their mind when they first get on a full size rink and try and play a proper shift on that against teams who are running 100%. And I think that there's a massive change. You've seen it at the GB level. You've seen players who are shining at our national championships level have got that sort of physicality now, that cardio. And I think a great example when we played the vets against the academy. That you guys were playing with that sort of intensity, which was great to see. So I think that's a massive change from the playing perspective.
No, that's a perfect answer, because it led on to I was going to ask, where do you see the sport developing? So you sort of touched on that anyway. So in the next season or two, you've sort of touched on it in a way, but what are your main goals?
To stay fit, mate, if I can. Look, I think from my perspective, the longer I can play, the better for me. You know, I think I love it. I get loads and loads of satisfaction out of it. I feel, you know, and sense of achievement when we do anything as a club, and playing matches is still such a high. And you know what, I'd be a liar if I'd like to say I'm completely about the team, but I'd be a liar if I don't say I still enjoy scoring a goal or two.
Yeah, everyone does.
So you know, I love that. And you know, I just want to. My thing is the fittest I can stay, the longer I can play for, and the longer I can play at the highest level I possibly can is good. You know, on a personal level for me, and because I love that. I think from a club perspective, goals. Yeah, look, I'd love for us to win the national championship, whether that's me on the team or not. You know, I think the guys have really deserved it over. You know, I think we've had lots of near misses actually in the last 3-4 years. Some of our own making, some really bad luck, some where we've deserved to win and haven't. You know, and I think that is tough. And I think you know, what I hope is that we could go on and win our fair share with the best teams in the country. And I think we absolutely can. And look, as I alluded to there, the academy and the growth of that, and making that work, and players come into that tier 1 team, and not just the tier 1 team, all through the tiers and the ranks. I think will make a massive difference to the club, and you know what, other people might follow our example. And I think the more strength we can get in depth in the country to play the sport, the better it'll get, because it will mean everybody wants to play each other, and it will mean, you know, that, as I say, that collective.
And you'll be going to nationals tournaments and stuff, and every game's going to be at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. And wouldn't it be great if it's not just the same 3 or 4 teams? You know, if there's you know, there's a team from Wales, there's a team from Scotland. You know, there's the real mixture of representation of the country, you know, the club sides, I think would be key. And I think, you know, the other bit is keep developing the young age groups. I think we've the Huskies set up, and obviously the nationals around that. You know, keep building on that, keep making as big a thing about that. I think, you know, the growth of the female sports and you know, in the female game. I think you know, there's obviously you know, a lot of high level performers in that. I think we've got to get more into that team. Some real quality. I think it's definitely developing, but again, it's at an early stage. And the vets, you know, I think the vets is a very similar position. You know, where the vets tournaments have been fantastic to play, and I have to say they've been a great idea and innovation, and produced some really good tournaments. And it's been great to see players who perhaps you didn't even know a lot about, if I'm honest. And you know, some of those are forming part of the GB vets team. And I think you know, I think that is another area we've got to grow more. And you know, I think so how we can get more players into all of those different aspects of the game, I think are really, really important. And then I suppose the last one is facilities. You know, obviously we're in a position where we're looking for a home, I guess, which to play on higher quality, purpose-built rinks, I think can only help the sport as well. You know, again, Queen's Road, you know, was a you know, it's an interesting surface, I would say, but just playing on that size rink is imperative if we want to go and play at GB level and compete. We don't do enough of that. So that's I'd like to think we might, you know, as the sport grows, we might find more and more facilities become available perhaps to us, or opportunities for facilities.
Right. No, definitely. So in terms of next summer, you're going with the vets team to Czech Republic.
Yes, mate.
How's the training coming along?
Well, COVID slowed it a little bit, I have to say.
It's also given you an extra year, so
it has given me an extra year. And I was starting. I was running. Again, I'm lucky because probably play, you know, hockey once, twice a week, football twice a week, and I was starting to do a little bit more, obviously in the gym and trying to get out running. But I did start with all great intentions for about the first couple of months, 7 or 8 weeks of COVID. But then golf season took over a little bit.
Yeah.
So I've been furloughed, so I've been trying to play as much while the weather's been good. But look, I'm doing bits. But yeah, the extra year will help as well. I think the refocus though is key, because I think the danger is you put it off for too long. So again, I'm keeping ticking over. I'm certainly I'm probably not doing as much as some, but doing more than others. But I think it's key to get to a point and go, right, I've given myself, whether that's now, you've got a year to get fit and get ready, because like I alluded to, that playing at that level, because obviously every side we play against is going to be high level players. A bit like you guys when you've been playing at the junior level, there isn't the I guess as much of a level playing field. You are playing the likes of Slovakia and Canada and the Czech Republic and US and things like that. So look, we're going to be playing against the very best players on a rink that a lot of the guys may not have even ran on before in terms of that size, and none of us are spring chickens. So I think it's going to find people out if they don't put the work in. Because with all the best work in the world, everybody wants to play and everybody wants the ball on the stick, but you may not see a lot of the ball. I think we've got to recognise it going over. It's the first time we've put a vets team in. It will be an eye opener, but I think it'll be a great experience as well. But I think all I would say, I'm not naive to the fact that I've got to go and put a load of work in. I know that the first time I played for GB, the first tournament we played Hungary, the first game, and it felt like a normal club game because they weren't the strongest side. I thought, this is going to be easy. The next game, I can't even begin to tell you how much I was blowing. So I think that it's a long road, but at least, like you say, at least we've got an extra bit of time to get fitter. So
I've always found that however much you do, after the first sort of period, you realise that you could have done a lot more. So it's about finding like a certain level where you're confident enough. Obviously, there's always more you can do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That the second one I went to, I'd had PT, I'd worked really hard, felt probably the best shape I'd ever been in. But like you say, 2 shifts in, and we were gassing. So yeah, look, I think that'd be my thing is I've got to do that. I suspect that there's players in my team that will kick me up the ass if I don't. So Mr. Clayton obviously is working very hard currently, and so I suspect if I come back, 3 stone heavier, he will let me know. So
yeah, I'm sure he will. So that's all the questions we've got today. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you everyone who's stuck with us throughout. There'll be maybe every other week there'll be a new episode. So thank you very much for joining us, Mick.
I enjoyed it, Ben.
Enjoy celebrating a Premier League title.
I will. I'm off to do a bit more of that now.